Arriving. My first nights in the city were spent in what I later found to be the very last flop house on the Bowery. I bought a postcard of the Brooklyn Bridge and mailed it to myself to establish an address for a proof of residence. Then I registered at the library where the books are shelved like towering buildings and found a book of Hart Crane's poetry. Like never before, I found myself walking down the cobbled streets he described, stepping into the poem caressed with expressions. The swinging sounds of jazz gush from clubs, pouring and cascading down the blocks with flashy brass hi-hats and massive chops. As I wandered deeper into the past, I could hear Bartleby's muffled voice at last and see Melville's bright eyes beautiful and sad. I reached the East River eventually, far from the deep of Rip Van Winkle's sleep, suddenly waking beneath the grinding clock where crowds gathered at Times Square to cheer the opening gate of another new year. Hart's poem still plays the city's music, as a vast operatic cast of waltzed leaves of grass sing along staccato streets and allegro avenues in a rapidly revolving and renewing mass. Then with the surging tides swirling at their base, I saw the bridge's towers standing in the current, and I saw Hart and Walt meet face to face. The braided cable's tendon tension hums as their hands clasp over the unraveling river, and they lift the city in their outstretched arms. I always write directly from my life, and I'm reading or writing most of the time. I could never find a publisher who would take a look at my literature, so I decided to publish myself, and now I put my own books on the shelf. Yet to be read requires others' interest, and I needed to find an audience, so what I finally decided to do was set my book stand on Fifth Avenue and read my poetry to anyone who would take the time to stop and listen. Some people smile, some people grin, some people snub. You'll never win. But what victory is there to obtain when poetry is about giving away, and I pour out every drop of my life to every single person passing by?